Somewhere out on the open ocean right now, a single American aircraft carrier is burning money at a rate that sounds impossible. Think about this: one ship, one day, millions of dollars. While you're sleeping, while you're eating breakfast, while you're watching this, the meter keeps running. The USS Gerald R. Ford didn't just set records when it was built for around $13 billion. That price tag was only the entry fee. The real shock is what it takes to keep a carrier operating every single day. Because this isn't a ship in the normal sense. It's a floating city with a military mission. Thousands of people live on board. Meals are cooked non-stop. Medical care happens at sea. Jets launch, land, refuel, rearm, and launch again. And all of it has to work every day, in salt air, in heavy seas, in heat and cold, with zero room for mistakes. During calm, routine operations, the cost is already huge. When flight ops ramp up, when the air wing starts flying hard, when the tempo spikes, the daily burn can climb even higher. So what exactly makes a carrier so expensive? Where does the money actually go? Let's walk through it in plain language, dollar by dollar, in a way that makes the cost feel real. First, you have to understand what an aircraft carrier really is. Forget the idea of a big boat. The Ford is over 1,000 feet long, longer than 3 football fields in a row. It displaces around 100,000 tons when loaded. But the size is not the biggest cost driver. The people are. A carrier is home to a massive crew. They don't visit the ship. They live there, they sleep there, they work there, they get sick there, they celebrate birthdays there, they deal with emergencies there. And humans have needs. Every day that crew has to be fed. Not once, not twice, all day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and late-night meals for sailors working strange hours in rotating shifts. The galley doesn't stop. Food is constant. Storage is constant. Refrigeration, cooking, cleaning, waste handling. It all runs like an industrial plant. The cost of feeding thousands of people stacks up fast, even before you think about anything else. Now add pay. Every sailor and officer draws a paycheck, then benefits, then medical coverage, then training, then the cost of moving people in and out of the ship over time. And carrier crew jobs are not simple jobs. You have nuclear-trained sailors running reactors. You have aviation techs working on complex jets. You have radar teams dealing with systems worth more than most buildings. You have electricians, welders, computer specialists, mechanics, security forces, firefighters, medics, and leaders coordinating it all. Skilled people cost money. Training them costs even more. And the Navy spends heavily because the stakes are life and death. Here's the part most people miss. The carrier doesn't sail alone. It is the center of a carrier strike group. That means escort ships alongside it, plus a submarine below, plus supply ships keeping the whole package alive. A carrier at sea is like the heart of a larger body. The destroyers and cruisers screen threats. The submarine hunts underwater danger. The support ships bring fuel, food, parts, and ammo. Each of those ships has its own crew, maintenance needs, and operating costs. So when people throw out a daily carrier cost, sometimes they're talking about just the ship, and sometimes they mean the entire strike group. Either way, it's big money. That's the floating city side. Now we get to the part that makes a carrier different from every other ship on Earth, the aircraft. This is where the spending becomes a monster. A carrier isn't just a ship that travels, it's a mobile airbase. It carries dozens of aircraft, often a mix of fighters, electronic attack jets, early warning planes, and helicopters. Those aircraft aren't cheap to buy, but buying them is not the expensive part. Flying them is. Every hour a jet spends in the air costs money. Not just fuel, maintenance, parts, tires, fluids, repairs, testing, software updates, inspections. After a jet lands, crews go over it fast and hard. They look for cracks, leaks, heat damage, wear. Anything that could turn the next launch into a disaster. Carrier jets take abuse. They slam onto a moving deck. They hit the wires. They get yanked to a stop. They sit in salt air. They get blasted by exhaust. It's brutal. So the maintenance rhythm never ends. Then there's jet fuel. A carrier doesn't burn fuel for propulsion the way old carriers did, because it's nuclear powered. But the air wing burns jet fuel like crazy. Even in normal times, a carrier uses huge amounts of aviation fuel for training flights, patrols, and drills. When the tempo goes up, the daily fuel use can explode. And here's the key point. The carrier's tanks are not infinite. It can only store so much aviation fuel. That means resupply at sea is constant. Tanker ships have to meet the carrier in the open ocean, match speed, and pump fuel across while both ships keep moving. That is not easy. It's risky, it's complex, and it costs serious money in ships, crews, and planning. Now add weapons. In peacetime, aircraft carry training rounds and practice loads. In real operations, they carry the real thing. Missiles, bombs, countermeasures, gun ammo. Smart weapons aren't cheap. Long-range missiles are expensive. Cruise missiles are expensive. Even basic munitions add up when you're flying many sorties. And the moment you shift from training to combat, spending accelerates. More flights means more fuel. More wear means more repairs. More repairs means more parts. More parts means more logistics. Combat is a money furnace. Next comes the part that sounds like it should be cheap, but isn't: nuclear power. People hear no refueling for decades and assume that means low cost. The truth is more complicated. Nuclear propulsion saves you from needing to refuel the ship itself every few days. That's a massive advantage. It also frees up space that can be used for aviation fuel and weapons, which matters in a fight. And it lets the carrier move fast for a long time without stopping. That speed and endurance can change everything. But nuclear power also demands an entire world of support. The sailors who run the reactors require heavy training. The safety rules are strict. The inspection standards are intense. The procedures are constant. The Navy has to maintain facilities, schools, and infrastructure to handle nuclear operations. It's not just 2 reactors in a ship. It's an entire system behind them. And then there's the big event halfway through the ship's life, the refueling and complex overhaul. This is not a simple tune-up. The ship goes into a shipyard for years. Workers tear into the carrier, replace nuclear fuel, rebuild systems, upgrade major parts, and bring the ship back for the second half of its life. That process costs billions, and it's part of the long-term bill that never shows up in the construction price. Now, maintenance. This is where things get quietly brutal. Salt water eats everything. Metal corrodes, electronics fail, pipes leak, paint chips, wiring ages, sensors degrade. Even when a carrier is not deployed, it needs constant upkeep. When it is deployed, the wear is worse, and modern carriers are packed with advanced systems that have to work under stress. Catapults, arresting gear, radar, networking, power systems, elevators, cooling, water production. Everything is interconnected. When one part breaks, it can slow down the entire machine. Newer carriers were designed to reduce crew size through automation and to improve long-term efficiency. Over decades, that can save money. But early in a class, when systems are new and procedures are still being refined, maintenance can run high. New technology is powerful, but it can be tricky until the Navy learns every edge case the hard way. And remember, the carrier itself is only the centerpiece. A strike group includes escort ships that also burn fuel, also require repairs, also carry expensive weapons, also need trained crews. The submarine under the water is another major cost. The supply ships are another cost. Put it all together, and you're looking at a daily price that can reach breathtaking levels. That's why you hear numbers in the millions every single day, just to keep one strike group ready. So why do it? Why spend this kind of money? Because nothing else does what a carrier does. Land-based aircraft need airfields, and airfields need political permission. That permission can be delayed or denied. Bombers can strike far, but they can't sit offshore for months and provide steady presence. Missiles can hit targets, but they can't patrol, rescue, watch, and react in real time the way carrier aircraft can. A carrier is an airbase that moves, a tool that shows up without asking, and a platform that can change missions overnight. That's what people mean when they say carriers are not just weapons. They're options, they're deterrents, they're leverage, they're a signal to allies and enemies that the U.S. can arrive fast, stay long, and act when it decides to act. So yes, a carrier can cost millions per day to operate when you count the people, the aircraft, the maintenance, the support ships, and the full machine behind the machine. Some people look at that and call it outrageous. Others look at it and call it the price of global reach. Either way, the numbers are real enough to make your head spin. And once you understand what a carrier really is, a floating city, a mobile airbase, a strike group hub, it stops sounding like a mystery and starts sounding like the cost of running a small country at sea. If this breakdown changed how you think about aircraft carriers, hit like and subscribe for more deep dives like this. Because the numbers aren't just numbers. They tell the story of what it takes to keep American power moving across the oceans, day after day, whether the world is calm or on the verge of exploding.